Why are you so desperate not to apologise?
Because what will happen is if I say, oh, you know,
I'm sorry.
well, then Gillian's got to say, everyone's got to apologise for everything.
Never mind anybody else.
No, that's important. And I just think that it's very easy to get politicians who are ultimately responsible for things to try and say, OK, I'm sorry.
When politicians screw up badly and it impacts on millions of people's lives, I think that it is incumbent on them not only to take responsibility, but to apologise.
So I've taken responsibility. I accept that the implementation...
But you're not sorry?
I still think the strategy was the right thing.
You're not sorry for the implementation?
And I think we'll come...
But you're not sorry for the implementation?
And I think we'll come round to...
Do you not find it a bit ridiculous? That
no, I don't, because look, we're playing a game here.
We're not playing a game. It's not a game to the millions of people. It's not a game to the people whose lives were affected.
I was saying that I was completely responsible. Not completely responsible, but I was involved in those decisions. Some of those decisions we should have...
But there are people watching this now, honestly, I promise you. I've interviewed many people over the years, thousands. There will be people watching this now going, why doesn't he just say sorry? What's the matter with him?
Yeah, I can understand that, but all I want to say is that I don't apologise for the strategy. I think it's the right thing. I think we've got to have a lower
perfectly entitled.
I think we've got to have a lower tax, more productive, wealth-creating.
But you can't have lower taxation without funding it properly.
Yeah, I agree with that, and that was why
you didn't fund it.
If we'd actually talked through, if we'd had time, that was why in the autumn statement I said, look, I'm going to have a statement where we're going to show spending restraint, which will fund the tax cuts. Unfortunately, and it wasn't a choice of mine, I was obviously sacked because of the turbulence, because of the market reaction. I was sacked before I was able to do that. And when Jeremy Hunt
Did Liz Truss say sorry to you?
No, she hasn't apologised to me.
She's never apologised to you?
No,
So she screwed you, basically stuck a political knife in your back?
Well, I was sacked, and I think the idea was that she would...
She never apologised?
No, she hasn't done that, and I haven't insisted upon it.
Do you still talk to her?
Yeah, I mean, I've spoken to her.
When was the last time?
Well, a few months ago.
So you don't really talk to her?
No, you don't,
do you?
No, a few months ago. I see her in the House of Commons.
She stabbed you in the back and wrecked your political career, right?
And so once I was sacked, then, you know, she took responsibility. We got a new chancellor in who's still there, and a lot of the stuff...
Let me ask you, do you ever apologise for anything?
Yeah, I mean, I apologise in my private life the whole time.
When was the last time you apologised for something?
I think I picked up my daughter from nursery too late, and I apologised then a couple of weeks ago.
So just to be clear, hang on, just to be clear, you're happy to apologise to people at a nursery school for being a few minutes late to pick up your daughter, but you're not prepared to apologise to millions of people for screwing their personal finances.
That's
you see, that's where I look at it.
I know where you're coming from.
And you think I'm trying to humiliate you. I'm not.
No, I'm just thinking from in terms of public affairs and public life, I think politicians make decisions. And they, on the basis of evidence, on the basis of their own philosophy, if you like. And I've never been one for saying, you know, if as a politician, you know, you're personally damaging people. There's policy, there's debate.
You did personally damage them.
Well, no, because there were lots of other things. I did not personally damage those people.
You've admitted the implementation of your strategy
and there was a lot of context.
Was so bad it damaged people.
But there was a lot of context as well. You said, well, forget about the context. Well, no, the context is important.
I know the context. I saw the reaction to your policy.
And I think that, and there were lots of things going on. There was also the time where I came back from Washington and was sacked, and you know, I haven't asked for an apology for that. That's the way public affairs these days is conducted, and you know, people have sincere beliefs and they want to do the best for their country.
Final question,
and they shouldn't apologise for that.
Well, actually, I think
mean, you and I have a different view, maybe, but
I think you'll find my view is the common view.
Okay.
I honestly do. And honestly, I did not get you here. I actually thought, you know, over time, after a year, you go, actually, yes, I'm sorry. It's literally as simple as that.
Okay.
And then you put up with one day's headlines of Kwasi Kwarteng, I'm sorry that we got it wrong and I damaged people's lives.
So I think...
Instead, what you've got is a 15-minute attempt by me to, in your eyes, wrestle some kind of fake apology out of you. In my eyes, get an apology for the people whose lives you affected.
Is that I think the strategy, and I think in the long term, we have to have a lower tax.
But that's different.
And I don't think it is different.
That is different.
That's. I'm not going to apologise for what the goal was.
Yes.
That's what I believe.
You're perfectly entitled. Honestly, I mean this. You're entitled to believe that your philosophy and your strategy would have worked over time. But I'm also entitled to go back at you and say the implementation was reckless, it was wrong, it tanked the markets, it spooked everybody in the world of economics, and the consequence of that was you got fired very quickly, and the Prime Minister lasted 44 days, and the whole thing brought shame on this country. But more importantly, millions of people in this country suffered personal financial loss as a consequence of what you guys did. And I just find it baffling, honestly, and I'm not trying to humiliate you.
No, I get that.
Because I've always liked you as a politician, and I did think you were going to be a good chancellor. And I'm sorry it didn't work out for you. But I'm actually sorrier for the people who lost money. And I think they'll be watching this going, why doesn't he just say sorry?
I understand where you're coming from.
Last chance.
Look, I just think it was a difficult time, but I still believe the strategy was the right one.
But you know the implementation was a fiasco.
And the implementation could have been better.
You're sorry for that?
I also think we should have had more.
Are you sorry for that?
We should have had more time. There you go. I'm sorry for the implementation. The strategy was the right.
And you're sorry for the damage the implementation caused to millions of people.
So there you go. You know, we've had this discussion. I think you're right to say, on consideration, I think you're right to say people should put their hand up, and also having put their hand up, they should be able to show some contrition. And I'm happy.
You are sorry.
I'm happy to show that. What I'm not happy to say, and what I stick to, is the fact that as far as this country is concerned, and its wealth and its prospects, we cannot tax ourselves to prosperity.
But that's a different argument, and you're perfectly
No, but I've made that argument for the last 50 minutes.
But am I right in thinking you now, for the damage that the implementation caused to millions of people, you're sorry?
I show abject contrition. I'm very...
Are you sorry?
Look, whatever formula of words.
I'm just asking, are you sorry?
I'm sorry...
You're sorry.
The turbulence that was caused.
You're sorry for the damage it caused to British people.
If that's what you want me to say.
No, it's what I want you to want to say.
Look, what I want to say is that I think the strategy was right. I'm sorry for the implementation.
Are you sorry for the damage caused to the British people?
I'm sorry for the implementation, and it was too far.
And for the damage caused to the British people.
I don't know why you look. There were lots.
Because they suffered financial loss.
Lots of people were.
But you were the Chancellor.
Okay. I was the Chancellor of the Exchequer.
Are you sorry for the financial damage it caused to the British people?
I'm sorry for the damage and the loss, and it was a scary time, and I'm sorry for that.
Kwasi, we got there.
Okay.
And I've not tried to drag that out of you.
No. Look,
I've not tried to humiliate you.
We've had a good conversation.
Yes. And I think you've come to it.
I've thought about what you were saying.
Yes.
And I thought, actually, you know, we've got to put your hand up. I've accepted responsibility a long time ago, and you've said, well, why don't you do the step forward? Take a step further and apologise. And I've said, you know, that's fair enough.
And now you have?
Yeah.
Do you feel better now?
Not particularly. I don't feel better or worse. I feel...
I'm glad you have.
Well, I'm glad that you're happy, but I'm
not happy. I'm just glad that you have not only recognised accountability...
So I've totally recognised
and responsibility, but you've also apologised now to the people who suffered.
I've totally recognised
I think that is the right...
And a year on, we've had an interesting debate, and I'm looking at, you know, splitting hairs between responsibility and apologies and all the rest of it. And I think broadly, you know, people were adversely affected. It is a scary time, particularly with mortgages, which are still going up in many instances. And I think on your principle, I think politicians should put their hands up and say they're sorry.
Thank you, Kwasi Kwarteng. Good to see you.